Football then and now, a fun look at football nostalgia and the modern game intertwined. Join us. This is Football Then and Now, a nostalgic look at football, but also a look at current topics as well. We are on the Sports Social Podcast Network. As you can see there in the graphic, Europe's largest sports podcast network. We are so happy that we're on board with these guys. Great support, fantastic podcasts from people in sport and fans of sport. Over 450 podcasts and counting. And waiting in the wings is my guest for episode 17. He is a huge Manchester United fan. He's a season ticket holder at Manchester United. It's none other than Tom Perrett. How are we, Tom?
I'm good, thanks you, mate.
All good, all good. Now, I'm going to talk about United first before we talk about Euro 2024 and England. Ten Hag, what are your thoughts? A lot of people calling for his head. What do you feel personally? I'm looking from the outside looking in. I felt he should have stayed, but I'm an Everton fan, of course. You know, you go to the games, you see it week in, week out. You're not in your armchair watching it. Do you know what I mean? What are your thoughts now that he's staying on? Because there's a lot of talk that he was going to be moving on, Tom.
Hi, I can see why there was that pressure. I mean, 8th is the lowest Manchester United finished since 1990. And, the media are obsessed by Man United, let's be honest. But I think ultimately most supporters, match-going fans, and people I know personally, was in favour of him staying till the end of his contract next May. Because then you've had the first manager since Alex Ferguson to have a full 3 years, rather than changing complete managerial, structure this summer. So I think, I'm happy that he's staying one more year. If, say, for example, they're not in the top 4 or even pushing for it next year, I think they'll move him on. But you've then stuck by the contract, haven't you? You give him that 3 years. Whereas if you just move him on this summer, you'll be looking back what could have been. Everyone has injuries. I mean, look at Newcastle, where they've gone from 4th to 7th one of this year, I believe. Yeah, injuries affected other teams, not just Man United. I'm fully aware of that. But I think the way he built the team was through the Martinez and Shaw from the balls on the back. It all linked from there. And I think you can lose a couple of midfielders here and there, but your defence is your main key. And it was just constantly rotating the defence. I mean, it was 5th and 6th choice centre-backs, wasn't it, at some point? I mean, you wouldn't have thought Johnny Evans even played on that game, did, you know what I mean, when he came. It was absolutely an emergency, but him and Camboala came through and they did very well. So ultimately, I'm happy he's got one more season. We'll base it on that. I mean, if next year, like I say, we're not much better, he'll move on, but it's one of them you won't look back and know if, you know what I mean? You could get, say, Thomas Tuchel come this summer. We did well the year after he's then sacked again. You wonder what could have happened. You know what I mean?
That's the thing, isn't it? Go on.
Sorry, it was like going back to the Van Gaal thing. I mean, they finished 5th into that year, but they should have been. Well, it was 4th by goal difference to Man City, wasn't it? Before Man City came really well. We got rid of him that year, and you often wonder the year after whether they'd gone to that next year. Do you know what I mean? But you never knew. The option there was Mourinho was available. But like this summer, there was no one really else available. Do you know what I mean? So, I'm happy to stick one more year and see where it goes. And I think he'll get it right, to be fair. The signings mostly was bought. I think you can see what we're trying to aim for. Do you know what I mean?
I know the league finish wasn't great by any stretch, but again, he's got the Carabao Cup last season and he's got the FA Cup this year. I gauge that as him doing pretty well. You're right. You want to be top 4. I get that. I totally understand it, but I think it's a bit short-sighted from some of the United fans. I think he's done relatively well with the cups. Look at the teams that aren't winning anything, Tom, up there.
Absolutely.
That's the way I look at it. Again, it's the outside looking in. I'm an Evertonian. I think he's done well. I think he's been under insurmountable pressure, actually. A bit unjust, I think.
I think Man United haven't been good for 10 seasons now either. It's not, I think they've been in Champions. I could be wrong here, but I think they've been in Champions League 4 or 5 times in that decade or whatever. And look, last year they went out in first round. I think Solskjaer did okay in COVID time. You forget that, don't you? Like quarterfinals-ish. But other than that, we've not even been in Champions League. So I mean, you're sacking a manager for not getting Champions League, but Mourinho came 6th one season, didn't get in. Look how world class he was. Van Gaal didn't get in one season. So I just think we've got to look at what is now. I think the media, I'm not going to name Sky or whatever, but if you watch especially ESPN, they are very fixated on Manchester United, everything they do. I mean, last year was the best Premier League title race, won it in years. Man City outstanding. And Arsenal, they would have won it another year, wouldn't they? I mean, it's only because of the depth of Man City's squad. And Liverpool, until the end, with a 3-horse race, they were more fixated on Manchester United where they was all the time. You know what I mean? I think there's just too much of a media scope on Manchester United. That's what the problem is. You know what I mean?
Jack Reynolds is a Man United fan. He's messaged, yo, why wasn't I tagged? Sorry, Jack. I put it out on the socials this morning. I apologise. For not letting you know. Also, I was going to say about the live score, because it's obviously Croatia and Albania. Jack Reynolds is doing updates. Keep the updates coming, Jack. I won't have to switch screens. Albania are 1-0 up. Fantastic start from them. I think Croatia have got an aging squad, if I'm honest. Do you know what I mean? Spain battered them the other night.
I think Croatia, World Cup 2018, they got to final, didn't they? Then was 2022 was the semi-finals, weren't they, as well? I think, like you said, I think that's end of their team now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. They'll come again. They'll come again. They've been prevalent since '96. They've been prevalent since '96. They always qualify. They've had peaks and troughs, haven't they? Croatia, if you look through, when they had Davor Suker in '98, they did fantastic semi-finals at World Cup '98. So I'm sure it'll come back round again. Jack Reynolds again, Perrett, because it's United talk. Johnny Evans signed a new contract yesterday. Happy days. What are your thoughts on that?
Actually, that's the first I've heard of it, but I'm happy with that. Especially with injuries we've got, and he's not let down, has he? So, if, say, Martinez is fully fit in Shaw or whatever, and Maguire, he'll maybe get 20 games, but he's reliable, isn't he? Push come shove, you know what you're getting from him. And he's a good professional, isn't he? So.
Absolutely. And we've got Lewis Young up in Falkirk there, big pro wrestling fan as well. He was at Clash of the Castle. He was at SmackDown. I don't want to make this about wrestling because it's football, but Lewis looked really good. It looked really good up in Scotland. It looked like a one big party. The crowd was amazing, as always, here in the UK. Lewis, your thoughts on Man United? Your thoughts on Scotland tonight as well against Switzerland? Huge match. Remember as well, the top 3 sides, teams that finish third go through as well with the best records out of this tournament. So you got the top 2 out of each group, but the teams in third with the 4th best records will go through. So Scotland is still in the hunt, but nothing more than a win tonight against Switzerland. But it's going to be tough, definitely.
I think you look at Portugal in 2016; they were third and they won it, didn't they? So.
Yeah, they drew all 3 games, Portugal, so it can be done. It can be done.
Again.
Jack Reynolds is predicting 2-1 to Switzerland tonight, which would mean Scotland, they're then going to have to win the last game and hope they get third, and they've got a decent record with 3 points, but we shall see tonight. Back to United, Tom. Obviously, he was getting lambasted a little bit, Ten Hag again, but I've got some photos, obviously, with the silverware, which I want to put up, and obviously with the man, the legend, your greatest manager of all time, Alex Ferguson there, and just, I'm sure he's had a lot of support from Ferguson, hasn't he?
Oh, definitely, yeah. Definitely goes to talk and that. And I think, everyone behind the scenes wanted Ten Hag to stay on, if honest, you know what I mean?
How was the final as well? I've obviously got photos that you've sent over as well. So how was the final last month? I wrote you off. I did write you off. I did not think that was going to happen. Amazing. I think maybe I was a bit short-sighted making out, obviously, how it went against Coventry. Friends of mine that United said the day before that United were going to beat them. I poo-pooed it. They were right. I was wrong. So, yeah, your day down in London. I know you've been to Wembley many times at United. And, I'll put the photos in now. Just the more memories for you with United and winning the title, where City were probably odds-on favourites, weren't they, on the day?
No, definitely. But it's FA Cup for you, though. Anything can happen. You know? Yeah. I thought of me smiling there earlier, don't
I bet you were smiling at the end, though.
Bloody was. I actually had a weird feeling we might actually win after the Coventry game. I think, Liverpool 4-3, that was just a dream anyway. But then the Coventry, any other day, that they're gone again. Sometimes the FA Cup's written in it for somebody to win it. Do you know what I mean? And the minute I got to London, you talk to people, everyone's saying we're going to win this. Wherever you met somebody, and you felt it in the Wembley way, all Man U fans singing and shouting, and in ground, it's the loudest I've heard us in years. It was just intimidating, if honest. They just felt like last year when we got there, you had no ambition. We never thought we'd win, do you know what I mean? But this year, you could sense it, which was strange because last year we were third and this year was 8th, do you know what I mean? But
do you think the pressure was off? Do you think the pressure was off with like how it was portrayed in the media before the ball was kicked? Do you think that helped? Did that help the players?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I think he had a tactic set up weeks before it. Do you know what I mean? How to play. And you look, the last 3 games that they won, they look quite calm, composed. I know there was nothing to play for, but yeah, I think there was a game plan ready and they knew what they was going to go for. And to be honest, yeah, Man United have played like this for quite a long time, on the counter-attack against the bigger teams. I won't say bigger, but the better teams. It seems to work. Our problem has been for a lot of years, the teams that are like sort of below us, pack above. So I think, yeah, he got his tactics 100% correct. From what I've heard people say, Steve McLaren had a massive input as well, apparently, from reading the game. But whether that's true or not, I don't know.
Jack Reynolds again here, Tom. I'm sure you'll have opinions on this.
Just absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, man. You go through the bad times that have been in more recent times. There's been bad times, hasn't there? Basing it on years ago now. I know you've won stuff. I know. Jack Reynolds, I'm 100% behind Eric. It took Fergie 4 years to win a trophy at United. Trust the process. We are rebuilding. What do you think about what Jack's saying there, Tom?
I think he's 100% correct, yeah. There's a lot of similarities to the Fergie thing as well. I know it was the 5th season where he won it, the Crystal Palace won it, but say Ten Hag winning this trophy felt like 1990, like the beginning of something. I know we won the Carabao Cup last year, but he really had to win this one, didn't he? And he's beaten probably the best team in the world to do it. And I think, yeah, it is a rebuilding process. You need to get the players what you want to play in the right systems. What Man United have done for the last decade is buy somebody on the market. Because, like, a lot of media get behind it. Oh, buy him. Like, your Alexis Sanchez people. There's probably about 10 players I could name we've just bought for the sake of it. It's like needing a bathroom decorated, but then you go getting a new kitchen. You are actually changing the problem what you need to address. I think that's what Ten Hag's done. He's looking at players to improve the team. Like Mano coming through was saved us 80 million this summer. You can build around that.
Amazing,
you know what I mean?
Amazing. It's stratospheric how good he's been. Unbelievable. And like you would have known about him. Us on the outside, we didn't know about the lad. We didn't like anything outside looking in again, as I say.
Not really. I knew bits about him from the academy, but to be honest with the academy, I mean, a lot of Man U fans will probably hate me saying this, but we do overbuild it up. I mean, the class of 1992 was 30 odd years ago. If you look for the last 30 years, I don't mean that many players come through. Rashford has, whatever with Greenwood goes on, but he was an academy player, wasn't he? A lot of them haven't quite made the big scale after, you know what I mean? But we finally look like we've got one there now, don't we?
You've always had the academy as well. Look historically.
Well, always good players, isn't it? Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But like an elite player like that.
It was different years ago though, because they weren't going to continental Europe as much early on in the Premier League early years, were they? It was more latterly, probably 3-4 years in. You started seeing more European players, less homegrown. So yeah, it'd be interesting. Who would you like to come in? Who would be on your shopping list? Who are the top targets for you personally?
The Tabido plays for Lons. He's very good on the ball. He can play on the right. You need somebody like Martinez that has that ball-looking vision. It's quite calm on the ball. Like the guy, Jared Braithwaite at your place, I'm not particularly bothered if he doesn't come on up. I think he's a decent player. But Everton are going to hold on for like 80 million, which I don't blame him. We need to move away from that. So if you look around Europe, there's players in the Bundesliga, I maybe don't know all the names, but like 20, 25 million, you take a pot on them, and you might get value back. Like Liverpool have done it, I hate to say it, but with Marquez, with Klopp. Like 2 years ago, they finished 5th, and last year they bring in a couple of new players like that Hungarian. You don't know who they are hardly, and they just fit in that system. All I'd say is be very savvy in the market now, especially with the money we've got. We ain't got much, but I'd say Tabido will be a player. Other than that, I'm not quite sure really. I ain't done enough research to say names. You know what I mean?
I think
it's got to be realistic. Like another striker wouldn't work. So, sorry, I've lost you.
No, you haven't lost me. I'm here, mate. It's fine. I think obviously it's just it's gonna take time. It's gonna take time, Tom. That's the thing, and that's the modern game now, isn't it? The fans aren't willing to give it time to let it sort itself out, and it's not just United. It's other managers that have been binned off, isn't it? Early.
It's like last May when we finished third and got to cup final. I said I'd be happy with 5 or 6 seasons, or just playing a game plan. People say, "Oh no, we should go for the league next year," and I'm like, "No, you're jumping your horses here big time." Like Liverpool want a good team that season. There's other things, and you look I'm right. We dropped from 3rd to 8th. I think, people get carried away with things, and the word Manchester United is such a prestigious club. They're expected to be at that level all the time. And you got to the fact it's not happening. You know, there will be one day, but it'll take time. Liverpool went 30 years from 1990 to 2020, didn't they? You know,
absolutely, it was a long time without the title. It was. It happens. This is what happens.
From talking to our granddad who's going 60s and 70s, he could never foresee us going all that time to 1993 without winning a league because it was such a good football team in the 60s and early 70s. So we got relegated. But do you know what I mean? It does happen. It's not like that. You get your Spanish league, the same teams mainly dominate, don't they? Whereas England, it's such a great league, isn't it? It's unbelievable.
And this
if you're not in your A game, anyone can beat you.
You look at continental managers, to come in. It's all well and good managing in Italy, in Spain, in Germany. I'm not knocking them. Dortmund got to a Champions League final, but week in, week out, the depth of the Premier League. I go back to it. Me and Chris have spoken about this at length. It's still the hardest league in the world at the top level.
Oh.
It's not just a walk in the park for these top European managers. We've seen it time and time again.
It's not. Anyone can beat anyone, exactly. I mean, Man City have won it, but they still get games where they get picked off, don't they? You know what I mean? You winning 1-0 at Burnley is a good win. A win's a win. You know, that's the thing in Premier League. It's such an hard league. And teams can scout each other well. I mean, look at Villa at 4th this year. They was in Championship, was it 4 seasons ago? Newcastle 4th. Look where they've gone. The 4th place, I find, the actual number 4, is can be anyone's, you know what I mean? It's going to be teams that rotate around it, you know what I mean?
Not to make it about Newcastle, but just briefly, I would say Eddie Howe. I think Eddie Howe is only going to get this season now. I think if he doesn't do it this season, he'll be gone. I truly believe that. They're going to want success. They're obviously going to let him go in the market again. But I fear for Eddie Howe. If it doesn't work for him this season, he could be binned off.
I think so too. I mean, again, he had a lot of injuries last year, and I don't think they brought a lot of players, did they, to be fair, but I think so
careful.
Too. Well, I think a lot of the Newcastle fans have been more patient, but it's just the money invested in it.
Lewis Young, Man United needs some players that can play football. Your thoughts on that, Tom?
Depends what kind of football he means. Roy Keane was one of our best players, but in technical talent, did he? Do you know what I mean? So it depends what you want.
Rugged, 110% every game. You need them players in amongst the flair, don't you? That's it.
I think you need something that can just change a game.
We got some more comments. No, it's okay. We got some more comments as well coming in here. Jack Reynolds, De Ligt is a shout. Obviously, it's not been going too well at Bayern, has it? So yeah, he says De Ligt would be a good shout for United at the back. Your thoughts?
Yeah, is he more of a left back or centre back? I'm not sure.
He's centre back, De Ligt.
Yeah, it's worth. I suppose. Because Maguire, if he moves, his contract goes, isn't it, next year? Then Varane's gone, hasn't he? Obviously, Varane's a great player, but you can only get 20 games a season out of him. So De Ligt's a good shout if it's for cheap. But if it's 50, 60 million, there's no point paying it. Do you know what I mean?
And another one. Lewis Young, are you coming upstairs to Scotland for the Man United Rangers game? Is that a pre-season friendly? Is it up in?
Yeah, I know a couple of people are going but no, it's my break for me and summer from football. I like her estimate, to be honest. But no, it'd been a good trip. I do prefer Rangers to Celtic up there out of the two. But yeah.
And then one more comment, and then we'll get back to Euro 2024 England in a moment. Keep Amrabat. We need an experienced striker to play alongside Rasmus Højlund. Your thoughts on what Jack's saying there, a fellow Man United fan?
Regards Amrabat, he's got a point because he was played back a lot during the season. You can see he's a holding the midfielder, isn't he? That's where he's comfortable at. And you saw there's 4 or 5 games towards the end he played quite well. But it depends on the price. If he's over 20 million, I wouldn't be rushing into it. You know what I mean? There's younger players out there, but I'm open either way. I think he's got a good mentality, Amrabat, and he wants to be there. So if he stays, he stays. Regards alongside Rasmus, we're never going to play 2 strikers at top anyway. That's never going to happen in our system. You need a good backup striker for Rasmus for the last 20 minutes, I think, because he's playing too many games. But you're not going to go get somebody who's like a world-class striker, because all of that is Rasmus will then be on the bench because we're not going to play 2 up front. And it's going to growth, isn't it? Somebody like Igalo the other year who was happy to... Cavani, not his age now, but it was 4 years ago. A player like that would be perfect to come off the bench the last 20 minutes for Højlund. But in the market now, we're looking for players like that. I'm not that sure really we could really get, but I can see where Jack's coming from with that one.
Absolutely. No, it's good. fellow Man United fans discussing what could happen during the summer and the window. And yes, one more and then we'll move on. It's replying to Lewis Young, 8-0 United for the Rangers friendly game. That's what Jack's going with. And then have you seen? Go on. Sorry.
Depends who plays. I mean, Diallo struggled over there, didn't he? He might get a few goals against the Rangers, who knows? But...
Have you caught much of Euro 2024? I'm assuming you've watched England against Serbia the other night. So yeah, just moving away from United. We'll come back to United memories in a bit.
Yeah, regards to Euros, I've not watched every game. You know my kind of shift pattern is like, but I've watched what I can, and I think it's been a very good tournament so far. All the countries, I think they've all been open games mostly, apart from the France-Austria. But there's been goals in every game as well. There's not been any goalless games, has there? So I mean, it's looked quite good, to be fair, and interesting. I mean, the Turkey-Georgia looked a good game yesterday, what I saw of it. And from what you're hearing with the crowds, it looks like an electric atmosphere over in Germany. They've got it well set out, haven't they, Germany, with sports and facilities. I think it'd be a great tournament, to be
fair. Jack Reynolds, we were awful against Serbia. What I will say about that, though, England historically draw or they could possibly lose the opener. So I think just let's take it. The first half performance, I think everyone was thinking they're going to come out for the second half and kick on. It was very defensive, which Southgate's been called on quite a few times actually during his tenure.
I may at times.
What did you think the first game, the 1-0?
I don't think it was a bad result in the slightest. Serbia are a very strong physical team. I won't get defensive, but I think England, they haven't won anything for like a long time, let's be honest. They get over-magnetised by the media. Like you say, the first game doesn't matter. France won the World Cup by drawing Switzerland in the first game. It often happens. Spain won, was it the Euros or World Cup by losing the first game? It does not matter. I think that was a good win. I think the first half, the momentum were good, then we lost it. I don't know what happened there. But as a football fan, if anyone said 1-0 against Serbia, you take it. You look at the France versus Austria game. France, to me, are the favourites to win this. Didn't do anything, did they, really? Do you know what I mean? That was only 1-0, and no one's mentioning it. I think England are magnified too much by the media. If they don't win 4 or 5-0, it's a tragedy. You know what I mean? Like the Scotland game in the... was that the last Euros? They drew that, then they got to the final, didn't they? No disrespect to Scottish people out there, but they're a lot lower ranked than Serbia, aren't they? So, yeah, I don't think it was that bad, but there's things England could work on. The system with Southgate I don't like is often the two holding midfielders. You've got Rice there, it's comfortable, but now he's doing Alexander-Arnold, one next to him, and he's done Henderson in the past. England don't really need to do that, depending on the opposition. I think they've got that many good attacking players, just go for it, honestly. I think that's just what lets them down a bit. But if you look back, they've got to a World Cup, they've got to that semis, didn't they? And they got to Euro final. It's better than a lot of managers have done with them as well. So I get both points of argument with Southgate. Do you know what I mean?
He's got a 61% win percentage. He's got I think he's up there. He's up there with Alf Ramsey. I know he has his detractors. People are allowed the opinion. But I don't think he's done bad. I do not think he's done bad in the slightest. But like you say, he's been very successful without winning anything, hasn't he? But he's gotten the furthest.
Right.
In the last 2 tournaments. So I think, again, Jack Reynolds is saying about Foden being awful. I just think England have got an embarrassment of riches in midfield. You can move Bellingham further back and then bring Foden in off the left. That's getting discussed. I've heard, why don't they play Kobe Mainoo and Rice and Bellingham? I don't know what he's going to do.
I don't think they're the best team, do they?
I wouldn't have started Trent. I still think Trent is better. I think he's better as a fullback. I don't rate him as a holding midfielder. I don't.
No, I don't. But... And I don't think England know what their best team is, generally with tactics and that. You know what I mean? I think that's the problem. I think they just don't know what the best system is and the best play. Well, you've got the idea who the best players are, but they've got the wealth of talent, like you say, in a minute, haven't they? They just don't know what the quiet tweak is for the system. You know what I mean?
For the goal as well, Kane was being Kane. He was dropping in, which allowed Bellingham, it freed Bellingham up for the header. They can rotate that, the 9 and the 10, can't they? The way Bellingham plays in that role. But Foden can do that as well. It was like a decoy. There was 2 players marking Kane before the goal, which, freed up Bellingham, which was a great header. So, I think there's positives here. I really do.
Oh, definitely. I mean, Kane's very scrutinised, all the time. But I think what announcers not announced something. My wrestling commentator said about him not getting enough chances or he's not done enough front of goal. But I think Alan Shearer quickly corrected him. Says it's irrelevant. We're winning. He's working hard. Just focus on the other things. I think the English media is just too scrutinising everything. I'll be honest, Stewie, though. I am not an expert when it comes to it. I like England to win, obviously, but I'm more into Premier League football than I'm into
Of course. Yeah.
I like England. Otherwise, I'd be in Germany now. I'd be over there, wouldn't I?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Of course you would. Of course you would. Yeah.
So people have more knowledge than me.
Looking at the odds, you've obviously gone with France. I had France as winners. I'm gonna pump the graphic in because I've got the latest odds with Odds Checker here. So yeah, just looking through joint favourites, France and England still at 4-1. You've got Germany at 5-1 after their huge win against Scotland. A lot of people said Germany have looked the best so far. We'll see. There's still 2 group games yet. There's a lot of football to be played. Portugal at 13-2. Spain at 8-1. Now, arguably they've got the best holding midfielder in world football in Rodri. I know that doesn't just make the team, but I think Rodri pulling the strings in there potentially. And I know Morata's older, but Morata will still get goals, and looking at, he's got a few young lads in the team now, hasn't he? So Italy as well, but I think Spain are dark horses for me. Because sometimes, it's a team you don't expect to do it. They haven't won anything, have they, for a number of years now after being so dominant in the World Cups and the Euros.
Yeah.
So I've got Spain as a dark horse, Perrett. I've got to be honest.
I think Germany could be one as well. I mean, they weren't that good in the last World Cup and Euros for them. I mean, for years, Germany can play bad and still get to semis, can't they? But it's a leap year this year, don't forget. Look at 2016, how Portugal did it. It could be something like you say, Spain, where you don't expect it, or Netherlands, somewhere to pull it out. You know what I mean? But
they're at 18. They're at 18-1, the Netherlands, and then Italy jointly, and then Belgium. There's no way after what I saw from Belgium the other night. They're 28-1. There's no chance. And again, an aging Belgian side now.
They've lost. There is a few young players coming through, but they haven't found the feet yet with them and found the system. I think it'll be more the next tournament where you'll see Belgium. Do you know what I mean? They had that big, massive, brutal force there was 10 years ago. To be honest, Belgium blew their chance to win something. That was their era where they should have won something, shouldn't it? 2016, 18, 20.
Well, arguably, going back to my country, obviously Wales, the biggest result they had was in the quarterfinals against Belgium when they won 3-1. And, Belgium on paper had the best team pound for pound. And we had to play as a team. I know we had Ramsey and Bale, but we played so well. But Belgium just haven't been able to do it, have they? And, De Bruyne is getting on now. Lukaku's getting on. I'd be very surprised if they're in the quarters or the semi-finals, basing it off that first game the other night.
Is Hazard still about? Eden Hazard, was he injured or was he about? I didn't actually see the game.
I don't know. I don't think he's there. I'm not sure. I'm not 100%. Really? He wasn't playing the other night though. I know that. But it's I can't say.
As well, weren't he?
This is it. If not older, you think when he was around over a decade ago at Chelsea. So I got France in my work sweepstakes. I've got Holland. I've got the Netherlands on a sweepstakes. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see. But yeah, I just think people are downplaying England. I think, but it's only one game and they've got 3 points on the board. So just going back to that, I think it's a bit unjust again.
I think Denmark could be a similar game as well. Because Denmark, a lot of players have played in Premier League, haven't they? The Scandinavian teams are similar to British football, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? So Sweden used to be always a dark horse for England. They could never beat Sweden, could they?
Absolutely. I was watching them recapping footage from Euro 2012, where England got over the line at 3-2. But yeah, they've always had that with Scandinavian teams, haven't they? Like Norway. Definitely.
Iceland
Denmark.
Well.
Yeah. Crazy. Because Portugal ended up third. So everyone was like, oh, Iceland will be a doddle for England. Yeah. And in actuality, it was probably more tricky. But yeah, moving on as well. I'm going to talk about the Scots tonight taking on Switzerland. hammered by Germany the other night. I think they've dusted themselves off. If you look at the interviews and stuff with Steve Clarke, obviously, I think they've just put that one to the side now. They're not getting hung up on it. But tonight, obviously, Switzerland always qualify. They always get into the tournaments. Granit Xhaka, as you can see there, they've got Manuel Akanji as well. City mainstay, starts for City all the time. But how do you think the Scots will get on tonight against Switzerland?
They'll give them a game.
Yeah.
They'll give them a game. I mean, it's a shame I'm not on social media to wind them all up anymore, but I'm only joking. I don't mind Scotland to do well. I just like to wind them up. But yeah, I think apparently it's the best Scotland team in a while, isn't it, to say, but I think what somebody else wrote earlier, 2-1 Switzerland might be accurate. But you never know. The Scots could get a draw, but Switzerland look well, they're always a well-organised team, aren't they? They're hard to beat. They generally always get to second round, don't they? Then don't get any further. But I think if Scotland score first, you know what I mean? They've got definitely a chance. But, if Switzerland score earlier, we'll have to see how it goes, you know what I mean? But the atmosphere will be good, won't it? And that,
The bookies have got Switzerland heavy. They've got Switzerland heavy favourites there at 10-11. Scotland 4-1. Yeah. And a draw wouldn't be a bad price. Bet responsibly as well. Let's just get that one out there. 5-2 for the draw, which I could see some people going for that. I think it wouldn't be the end of the world if they draw this tonight. Obviously, if they're one of the 4 teams in third with the best record, they go through. So if they could even draw tonight and win the last game, they could potentially get through with 4 points, couldn't they?
So he captained the last game. There's Germany in the group, obviously. Who was the other team? Who did they play in the first game?
I'm trying to think who it is.
Who was it?
Germany. It's eluding me here.
With people pulling their hair out now, your friend Fenderberg pulling his hair out.
Oh no. Hungary. So there we go. Yeah, because it's Germany-Hungary at 5:00 tonight, and then this one at 8:00 this evening. So yeah, sorry. Yeah, I forgot Hungary. Which Hungary have been doing okay,
Scotland could be.
Yep.
It's the best Hungarian team since, the Magyar era, really, isn't it? I mean, that's the best they've been in a lot of years, last couple of years, isn't it? But they're still, debatable on a day, you know what I mean? But yeah, if Scotland drew tonight and beat Hungary, job done. I mean, they're going to have to get out first group, eventually, aren't they? They're going to do it, so hopefully it's this time. But
I'd say the best supported team so far, Turkey in Dortmund last night, obviously, is a huge Turkish contingent living in Germany, so it's a bit one-sided. One at the atmosphere. You had like 60,000 Turks, probably maybe more, to like 10,000 Georgians in the stadium. More. But I'd say for atmosphere, the Scottish and the Turks have been fantastic. I'd have them two as the best fan base at the tournament so far for noise, passion. Probably. So that fan base, hopefully for the Scots, because I want the Scots to go through, that'll be like the 12th man, hopefully, this evening and into the final game with Hungary, Tom.
Yeah, I agree with you as well. I mean, Turkish are everywhere in Germany, aren't they? Gelsenkirchen, that's pretty much Istanbul, isn't it, if you go to it, really? But I think, the support base, I think Scotland's been very, very loud. They always are, aren't they? They're very proud of the country, which is a good thing. England are noisy a lot, but I think Scotland very passionate with it, aren't they?
Jack Reynolds, Croatia moving about like old men in a nursing home. Yeah, it's transitional again. It's a case of, Modric, he was still playing for Madrid this season, not week in, week out. He's had a long career. Kramaric, you've got even Perisic as well. It's transitional. I think maybe the next tournament or the tournament after that, you might see a difference again because he'd be bringing the new blood through, won't he? I think it's just a time where it's out the old in with the new, isn't it? I think maybe not to knock them guys because they've had well over 100 caps. Those 3 guys that I mentioned, they've been fantastic for Croatia.
I think a lot of people like Croatia. They're very neutral, aren't they? But they do very well in tournaments. So it's only a tiny little country, isn't it? They've done very well, haven't they, in the last 30 years on that. But the other teams are coming on. I mean, Albania, you see, are getting better. A lot of those Slavic teams around there, a lot better than they used to be. Do you know what I mean? Like Montenegro, they've picked up results, haven't they, and things like that. So. And
it's Silvino, he used to play for Arsenal, and he was at Arsenal. He's the manager for Albania. I was like, holy hell! And like Willie Sagnol, he was cat for France, wasn't he? Obviously, he was at Bayern years ago. It's mad seeing these guys managing other countries, but fantastic.
Yeah, it's great there's some involvement in game, innit? And that, yeah.
I'm going to come away from current stuff. I'm going to go back to some Manchester United memories. I know you've probably got thousands and thousands, but just some off the top of your head, some of your favourite times, maybe, some players, just like some of your favourite bits about United. That'd be cool, man, because I know you've had plenty of stories over the years.
God, memories-wise, Jesus. Well, the cup final this year was obviously up there, like, don't get me wrong, but I remember, like, the Man City 4-3 game where Michael Owen scored. The place just went absolutely insane. That was a crazy day, that. Cup final against Crystal Palace where we won 3-2. Southampton, sorry, 3-2. That was an absolutely insane day just throughout. The Man City 3-2 at Main Road, 2-0 down, we won 3-2. Roy Keane scored. That was... I remember being there as a young lad. That was absolutely insane. I could go on for days, really, to be honest, mate. But other recent memories, I'd say, like, the Man City game that was 2-1, not this season, but the one before in January, that was the most electric I've seen Old Trafford in a long time. It was just intimidating. It was like a cauldron that day. Do you know what I mean? But the 4-3 Liverpool as well, that's another one. There's a lot of memories from this year and last two actually coming up here. Do you know what I mean?
Which is good. Which is good.
Amazing.
I'm glad you're bringing current stuff up with all the history, predating, what's going on now. No, it's nice that you're bringing current stuff up and that you're passionate and you're happy, and that it's giving you fondness.
That's six. I remember when he was winning the leagues all the time and that, people became very complacent, which they shouldn't have done. But, it don't always stick in your mind some of the wins, and do you know what I mean? She was expected to win. Whereas if come like the underdog in the last 10 years, it feels better, do you know what I mean? But
who were some of your favourite players over the years? That maybe pick 2 or 3 that stand out. I know that could be quite hard, but off the top of your head again, some players that you just absolutely loved. I know there's been so many legends, especially under Ferguson's leadership. There's been countless players, but yeah, the ones that stand out, maybe 2 or 3 players over the years that you just thought, oh my God, and you've been in awe, watching them live there in Old Trafford and away from home as well.
That's usually the better game, but obviously cancer now, we knew that, but he wasn't there that long. And I'll be honest with you, I wasn't going as regular then. I have seen him play a few times, but Roy Keane for defo over me was my favourite because he was just such a leader. Again, not much technical skill or that, but the effort you saw running him on the pitch, it was like having like a warrior on your team. He just would not accept defeat. So he was definitely my favourite player growing up. And that. Trying to think over the recent, I'm a really big Luke Shaw fan, though he has a lot of criticisms over the time. But this last decade, when he's fully fit, he's always been my favourite player when he's there. You know what I mean? Going back longer than that, I mean, Brian Robson, the early 90s, he was on his cutback era, but seeing him play for the first time and that was a huge thing. Like my dad and granddad were huge Brian Robson fans, you know what I mean? So I sort of adopted him. The nicest player I've met was Dennis Irwin, and he was such a genuine guy. And he told you stories about like the Republic of Ireland, the difference when they got to the World Cup with Jack Charlton managing to what Alex Ferguson did. I mean, they went out and got drunk when they beat Italy, and they couldn't understand why. Why you tell us to do that? Because we've got another game in 3-4 days. Said, no, you live in for now. They got absolutely wrecked. Then look what happened to them in that group. He said it, but that would never happen at Manchester United. Do you know what I mean? You could have won anything. You wouldn't like to get good.
2 different ways of running it. Like you couldn't get 2 poles apart, could you?
So Dennis Irwin again, he's another one who was up in that level because just such a gentleman as well. If he wasn't playing at like the top level, I mean, it wasn't as big then, was it, Premier League? But he'd be playing in like a non-league in Ireland, wouldn't he? Or Division 3. Just a constant footballer. Says Wayne Rooney was the same as well. He was another person who just likes to play football. I know it hurted him when you left Everton to you, but he's a lad that just likes football. And I've got all the time in the world for him now. He just wants to be in management. Like people like that just want to be involved in the game. I've got all the time in the world for them,
It'll be interesting to see how he gets on. He's obviously at Plymouth now, isn't he? Birmingham was an odd one, but look,
that's it. Look, just shows.
Birmingham, Tony Mowbray's gone. So Birmingham are now in League One, struggling, and it's all over the place. And I think it's got to do with the ownership. They're going through managers they've had more managers in a short time than I've had hot dinners. You need cohesion, you need someone there, don't you? That club, I think they're going to get stuck.
Crystal
and
Birmingham, like that, didn't they? You know what I mean?
Birmingham are relatively, they're still a big club.
Yeah,
the ground
about this all the time with
30,000.
management. Like I said, Palace, 3 stories that, and Watford.
Yeah, I'm with you absolutely.
Sorry, it's just Birmingham. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, but you were saying about Watford, very similar to like Norwich, a bit of a yo-yo club. They get up and then they go back down. Whereas, as you were saying earlier, Newcastle and Villa went down and managed to get back up.
When Watford were finishing,
it was the best thing for them.
16, they're still second manager.
Yeah, they were crazy
Yeah.
how many managers they went through. It's okay.
Definitely.
I can hear you. It's fine. Yeah, I think again, what's if one match over the years that was just your favourite? And I know again it's hard. I'm putting you on the spot here, but yeah, the favourite game. I know you've been to thousands of games over the years.
I think, though it's not the best game I've been to, Liverpool in 2010. This is the first time I've been to that in a long, long time. And it was 2-1. It was the year after they absolutely thrashed us 4-1. It just, I don't know, it was just an amazing day. Do you know what I mean? Park Ji-sung scored the header to win it. And I was just absolutely buzzing to be there before I had the season ticket. So I did go regularly still, but I didn't always get to the bigger games to have a season ticket. But I went to that game and that was just absolutely amazing. And the atmosphere, I think it was hurting from that defeat the year before. And Liverpool pushed us so close, you know what I mean? But that was probably my favourite game I've ever been to. So I can remember it so like it's yesterday. Whereas now I can leave a ground and forget within 5 minutes. But
who was underrated for you? I know you alluded to Dennis Irwin. I know you weren't saying he was underrated, but yeah, a player that went under the radar maybe in your mind, but was absolutely fantastic. Put that shirt on 110%. If there was an underrated United player over the years, who would you pick?
Park Ji-sung and John O'Shea, I'd say those two. So they're both. Like John O'Shea, probably I'd say that because he could play him in net, you could play him up front. You got told to do a job, he'd do it, and it was always there for the club.
I went against Lille. I went against Lille, right. And it was when you hammered Roma, I think, in the next round, and Henrik Larsson was playing for you when I went against Lille, but John O'Shea got man of the match. Funnily enough, I was at Old Trafford. The 2 times I've been to Old Trafford was the Lille game in the Champions League and when we played you in 2018, 2019. But yeah, John O'Shea was man of the match that day. But it was good seeing Henrik Larsson. I know he was coming to an end, but I liked Henrik Larsson. I thought he was fantastic that night.
Oh, he was a great player at Celtic. Everywhere he played for. I mean, just such a good, again, professional. You know what I mean?
Moving into more current stuff going on, what do you think about Sir Jim Ratcliffe? What do you think about him? What are your thoughts and feelings? Do you think he'll be able to sort it out over time? Your opinions on him, because he's causing a bit of mixed reviews, isn't he, with his ownership early on? But it's very early days, isn't it?
I'm quite confident with it all. I mean, this isn't football related, but I mean, I was watching TV earlier, and it was in Monaco, and it was on about the state of Britain politically. I'm not going to go into sex; everyone's got no views, but he seems to have a knowledge of what's going on under the surface in the world, I think, you know what I mean? And so I think he's a knowledgeable guy to have behind the scenes. I don't know everything what his inputting is going to work, but what I think is a man he knows more about football than what the Americans do above, doesn't he? You know what I mean? I think he's not going to be like bullying the transfer market anymore. Like I was on like the play from you early, Braithwaite. If they're saying 80 million, he'll say no. We'll stick with 30, 40 million. We'll look elsewhere. You know, I think he's got a knowledge of football. That's a good thing for start anyway. But the only concern I've got, I mean, he's in his 70s, isn't he? You don't know how long people have got, so who gets it and he goes? There'll be somebody else, won't there? But I don't know how good they are. But no, I've got good positive vibes about him. Yeah, I hope he takes off. And the one about a new structure out there with training academy, which sounds good. But regards the stadium and all this, I am not actually keen on the idea of moving grounds. What I think the problem is, I'm probably going to be controversial for saying this, but I think the Manchester United's season tickets and tickets are quite affordable, to be fair, compared to some clubs. But if they move to a new ground, the price will go higher and a bit more aimed at commercial marketing, like international fans, which they do anyway. I could see Manchester United appealing to that more, and the atmosphere will get even worse than it is. Do you know what I mean? I think we're better where we are, just having an infrastructure and clean up around. I don't think the ground's as bad as everyone says it is. I mean, I've been to Tottenham's new ground. It is amazing. That's because it's new. Emirates is an amazing ground, but if you look at it for when it first opened, was it a decade ago, 15 years ago, it looked better then than it does now. It just needs it just needs some work doing on it. Basically.
Yeah. Renovating,
yeah. Because the inside of it looks very dated compared to other places. I think Villa Park needs to say about that, but inside there now it's really modern. You know what I mean? You just need that.
they're going more square, the grounds again. Like our ground
That's
is,
right.
the pitch now it's square, whereas that bowl style now that the Emirates was, that was the stadium at the time when that was what was in. But you're a bit away,
yeah.
you're a bit away from the pitch. But that's what I like. Not to make this about Everton, but the way they've designed it, the gradient behind the goal, the stand behind the goal, it's actually steeper than the yellow wall in Dortmund. So you're getting right on top of it behind there. So I'm happy that we've got like a square design because you're right on top of it, if you know what I mean. But yeah.
Is it next season? Not next season, the season after Everton go there, isn't it?
Basically, they reckon construction will be finished in 6 months. But what they said was, rather than doing it halfway through the season, just over, wait until next August. And they're going to have to do test events and stuff like that. Look at all the kerfuffle with Co-op Live in Manchester, where they had to cancel gigs and stuff because it wasn't safe.
Yeah.
So I'm all for them taking the time with Bramley Moordock. Don't rush it. Get us in, when we're ready and stuff. But again, you're saying about ticket prices if United were to move to a new ground. Everton, I think we're going to see it with Everton. I think it's game by game. It's game by game at Goodison. It's 55 quid a seat. Just paying as a member.
Quite expensive, isn't it, really?
So what will it be? Like you say, they're going to have to facilitate it, aren't they, to make some money back from, and it's going to be the fans potentially. But I'm very excited. But again, they've got to build stuff down there yet. It's not just building the ground. It's all the fan zone areas and stuff like that. It's just better finishing off at Goodison. But people are moaning. Why is the last game in next season the game before? But it's like they said, because it's final day, they'll get more press coverage doing it the week before. And I'm happy that it's Southampton. We've got a lot of history with Southampton. So, yeah, it'll be sad leaving Goodison, though, Tom.
Oh, no, memories. I mean, it's always a hard game to play against Everton at Goodison. I mean, I've only ever been once, but it's very old school stadium, isn't it? It's nice to see this sort of stadium.
I'm going to ask you just before we go, a player that you've seen, I'm assuming maybe like Champions League from another team who just was absolutely out of this world. Now, I know it might not necessarily be a Champions League game, but I'm thinking about when you played Madrid over the years, Juventus, Bayern, you played everybody, didn't you? Especially in the 90s and the 2000s. But yeah, one player from another club from like Europe, maybe, it was just absolutely electric at Old Trafford. Or, if you'd seen them away, maybe.
I can name it quite easy, actually. He played in the Premier League, but he's played in other leagues, David Silva. Out of all games, the 6-1 game, it was absolutely another planet. I mean, I've seen Messi play, I've seen Ronaldo the other way around, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, all these, but David Silva, that game, at the 6-1 game, hurts him to say, but you got to be honest, he was absolutely untouchable.
What was it about him? His movement, his linking,
his movement,
his goal.
It was his movement. He pulled players into him, and you can just see the amount of space for the one player to mark him. Then he'd see the space of somebody that's moving. It was like having to have two men on him, but we obviously wasn't because we didn't play that kind of football. It was us that go at teams. But he just knew where to read the ball, the space, the passing. It was just on another that day.
Amazing.
I always look back and think David Silva's the best player I've ever seen play. I'm not, I've seen other players that are better than him technically, but on that day. Yeah, definitely.
Just out of this world, different.
My player of all time is probably Batistuta, but I never got.
Do you not see him against Fiorentina over the years? No, or Roma? Because he was at Roma, wasn't he as well?
I wasn't there in that game.
Oh no! But again,
no, I missed the Fiorentina and Roma game.
Me and Chris talked about Batistuta when we started this podcast. We talked about European players that we watched when we were younger. Yeah, amazing. I always think of that goal against Arsenal when it went into the roof of the net, and Arsenal were playing the Champions League games at Wembley. That was what a goal in the purple and white, the feeler top with Nintendo sponsor. Iconic. I don't think he gets enough praise. Actually, he should get more.
I think the Italian league at that time was just so great, wasn't it? You know what I mean? There was that many players I didn't know what to start with.
How did you feel when he was in the ref's ear, though? When Simeone got Beckham sent off because he was in his ear, wasn't he? He was in the ref's ear trying to get him sent off. How did you feel about that, being an England fan?
Not great, but the teams do for the country, don't they? I mean, would have done the same. We had the same issue with Ronaldo, really, didn't we? You know what I mean? And to be honest, just a lot of Man Utd supported always massive fan England, you know what I mean? Because of that incident and all that. But yeah, teams do it for their own ways to win, don't they? You get used to it. Argentina are a team that do lay in the floor, hold their legs a lot harder, but they are a strong physical team at the same time. That's why I never got that. You know what I mean?
If we're going to go back to teams that haven't had a few iffy results and stuff, going back to the World Cup, I know we're in the Euros. Argentina lost to Saudi Arabia in the group and went on to win the tournament. So when we're saying about teams taking a loss, and everyone was saying that's it, you can come good. I think if you get your momentum and you go into the knockout phase.
Another one earlier was on it. Dennis Irwin, Ireland 1-0 against Italy. Italy still managed to get that final, didn't they?
Yeah, Ray Houghton scored that brilliant goal as well. I always remember that because I remember watching it in '94. So yeah, just great memories. And before we go, I've got one more thing. Favorite international tournament over the years. What's your favorite? If you had to pick one to close out, we'll close out with this. Putting you on the spot again.
You're 96.
I'm with you. I'm wholeheartedly with you.
I was that age. I was only 11, but it was just such a big thing for the country at the time. And I remember every game. The 1998 one as well, I remember very well. To David Batty on the beach in Mallorca 2 days after I missed that penalty, Menorca, against Argentina. I bumped into him on the beach. I was talking to him. So 98 stands for that. But tournament-wise, I prefer 96, obviously. What
could have been as well when that ball went across goal and Gaz had stretched for that ball and he just missed it. And a lot of my family are English, so I had the England kits as a kid. Wales weren't qualifying. I followed Wales right the way through from when I was young, but obviously I've got a lot of English in my family, and that is. I'm with you. I'm with you on Euro '96, Tom. 100%. The whole thing, it captivated the nation, didn't it? The support.
It did. It was amazing. A good time for football. Yeah.
I felt for Terry Venables as well because they started. They came good after drawing against Switzerland in the opening game. They beat the Scots 2-0, didn't they? And then hammered Holland 4-1, an iconic game. Probably one of the best group games I've ever seen when they beat Holland. I mean, Holland had some fantastic players: Bergkamp, Kluivert, Seedorf.
Yeah, list goes on, doesn't it? For that, I mean,
Van der Sar in goal, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Davids, like you say, you said Seedorf, haven't you? But Koku, you could go on for ages. That Netherlands team, or Holland team, in the
right. Michael Reisiger, who was decent. Winston Bogarde, Philip Koku. That was a hell of a result. The 4-1. Now I know you're not on Facebook, but where can the viewers and listeners find you? You've come off Facebook. I know it's been a bit of a problem with Facebook, but just where we can find you on social media.
I'm on Instagram anyway, Tom Perrett 20, and I've got also a photography group called TP Photography. They're my two ways of finding me, really. But I do have a Twitter account, but I can't remember the last time I used it, if I'm honest. So.
Insta's all right. Insta's safe. And again, photos from your travels and stuff like that, which is great because I know you like going abroad and you like going places in this country as well, don't you? You love going out and about. I know that, and there's some fantastic photos over the years. You've been to some places, Tom. Fair play.
Yeah, thanks. But Instagram's a place to find me if you want to follow it.
Thank you very much. My guest today, Manchester United season ticket holder for many, many years. Hopefully, Tenor can get you into the top 4 this season. It's been Mr. Tom Perrett on Football Then and Now, episode 17. We will be back next week with a special on Kevin Campbell, who passed away so tragically earlier this week. Sad news, last weekend. Sad news. Fantastic for Everton, played for Forest, obviously. Stayed with Forest when they got relegated. I know he scored 22 goals in the old First Division to get them back up, and obviously at Arsenal. And he did a lot of punditry for Everton, and he did a lot. So we're going to do a special on that. And then we're going to cover a bit more current Euro 2024 next week on a live as well. Tom, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Football Then and Now, a fun look at football nostalgia and the modern game intertwined. Join us.